If you're a Cleveland Browns fan looking for a break from the emotional roller coaster that is the price we pay from loving then hating our Browns, then a big welcome to Cleveland Browns Anonymous, a group therapy podcast to help you survive the season. So let's start our meeting. Hi, everybody. This is Mike Riley with Brook Riley, and we have a special guest, John Schloss. We're going to be talking about the draft. Once again, the Browns Super Bowl.
It's a month away.
I know. That was always something we looked forward to, the draft. Those were the bad old days of Hugh Jackson, the rebuild, Johnny Manziel, all the horror shows of the Browns. Why we call this Cleveland Browns Anonymous. So it's time for our meeting. I'll let our guest talk first, John Schloss. So, John, who do you think the Browns are going to take at number 2? Are they going to trade down or what?
I think they're going to trade down. I think those number 2 spot will be sought after by other teams, and
They're going to want Shadir?
they might. I think
But they may get Abdul. They may be hot for him.
that's right.
Okay, so how would you trade down? What would you, you're Andrew Barry.
I would, if I got another extra first-round pick,
We need a one, definitely.
we need a 1, and I think they're looking to, they don't want to say it now, but they're looking for the following year's draft for the quarterback they want.
Okay, all right. What do you think, Brooke?
I think it's Shadur.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think it's very peculiar. Myles Garrett was like, I ain't coming back here. I want to play for a contender. And then of course, I get it. He's making $40 million a year. Money is king.
You don't think that was a negotiating ploy a la LeBron?
He interviewed with some top guy on NFL 2 days after he signed. And they asked him point blank, like, hey, you were so adamant about not coming back here. Did something change? Like, did the Browns talk to you about what their plans are? And he said, yeah. And they were like, do you know who the quarterback is going to be? And he was like, yep. And he asked him, was that the reason why you signed? And he was like, 100%. So I think that you look at a team like the Commanders, you look at a team like the Texans 2 years ago, you get a rookie quarterback who hits, solves a lot of problems. So I think it's going to be Shadur. And I listened to the Ringer podcast, Todd McShay, he's the big draft guy. And he said that, out of all the quarterbacks in this draft, Shadur fits perfectly with Stefanski, his style.
How so?
He's a pocket passer. He's not, some Josh Allen runner. He's accurate. He's tough. He's played in college for a while, so he's, he's not super old, but he's been around. He's been coached. And there's this whole stink to Shadur that, it's Deion's son. He's super.
You're going to get more prime time in Cleveland?
And everyone has said Shadur is tough as nails. And that guy, so I'm becoming more comfortable with if the Browns keep the pick. If they say it's Shadur, let's roll. I think that would be.
Why wouldn't the Titans pick Shadur? They seem to be locked into Cam.
So Cam Ward, who again, I think is great as well, but Cam, the coach that the Titans have, the style of quarterback that he's always coached as an offensive guy is a Cam Ward, where he's more kind of like, I don't want to say Johnny Manziel-ish, but he's more kind of like, okay, I got to make something up. I got to, improvise.
Okay.
And Cam is really good at doing that, where if the pocket collapses, he'll move around, he'll improvise, do these kind of weird Mahomes throws. Whereas Shadur is more like, the rush is coming, I'm standing still, and I'm throwing it.
Well, that's what the Washington Commanders guy was like. That guy had ice water in his veins.
And they're saying Shadur is like, nothing scares him. So I think
okay, well, if I'm the Browns, I'm thinking I don't want any more drama after Deshaun. And we got a lot of holes to fill. Offensive line, we got to get that left tackle. I think they're good on wide receiver. I could see him picking up, believe it or not, Amari Cooper coming back for 1 year. They like these 1-year deals, Andrew Berry specials. But I really think they're going to go for Abdul Carter and just have a bookend power rush because they've got that Ohio State guy coming back who in his brief time played well. I think they're going to go with Carter and, why go get best player, blue chipper on the board. And I think they're going to go after quarterback late in the first round. I think they're going to trade some of their picks, move into the first round.
33rd pick.
Yeah.
There's that other guy, Jackson Dart from Ole Miss, but again, like he might be gone. You got teams like the Jets.
I think they're going to trade up.
The Saints, the Steelers. So I'm fine if they pass on Abdul for a quarterback because you got Myles Garrett.
Yeah, well, I think they got to get a shutdown D, and I think Stefanski does well with serviceable quarterbacks. If we had a serviceable quarterback, look what happened with Flacco. We had a good defense when we got to the playoffs. Everybody's making noise about Flacco's interception turnover, but I remember a couple of his interceptions. One was Tillman ran the wrong route. He was supposed to pull up. He was a rookie. He ran the wrong route. Flacco threw it where it was supposed to be. And there was a couple of right before the half interceptions where Flacco was just flinging it in the end zone. I think the Browns did not acquit themselves well in that Houston playoff game. Houston just ran up and down the field. I think there is some holes in that defense. They had lights out. 2 years ago, they were talking about historic defense. So people forget some of those games they played. The weather was terrible. Remember that first game, Joe Burrow, it's a guy, he was throwing in 40-mile-an-hour gale.
I think, too, though, there's something about when you get a rookie quarterback that high, we need to wash this Deshaun Watson stink off this team.
Yeah.
And getting a young quarterback at number 2, it just brings a lot of just good vibes and hope back to this team. But we got to, it sucks because we went through the Sashi Brown, just tanking Hugh Jackson.
The rebuild. Look at how that worked out for the
and then
76ers.
Yeah.
Speaking of Flacco, I think not only was the interceptions a concern, but his fumble rate was high as well. So you always wonder why haven't they gone back to him? Maybe it's interceptions along with his fumble rate. But
you know what? They didn't sign him last year because Watson threw a pity party and said because he saw how the locker room responded
to Flacco. Yeah.
Flacco.
right,
Flacco was like, yeah, I love Cleveland.
right.
Yeah, me.
Flacco was
And
like Bertie Kosar.
and it's it's not like I heard this from Deshaun Watson, but a lot of reputable people said no, Watson saw that and he was like, this is my team.
Well, one reason they might tilt defense, we don't know about the stats of JOK. If you think about their defense, you got Myles Garrett, you got Ward. JOK is right up there in the conversation.
And Ward gets hurt a lot.
Right. So JOK was definitely top 3 on the among the defensive starters. So, and if he's out, we would definitely have some gaps. To your point,
you know what? I keep going back to when Flacco came in. Flacco is not the kind of guy you want to get into like what happened with Houston. They had to keep coming back because Houston would. He had 2 pick sixes. I get it. That put the ball game away. But I remember that first half. Stroud was chewing them up. Miles couldn't get in. And there was no other pass rush. So I really think the Browns' plan for this year is going to be, we got all these picks and we got all these holes. Let us get best player available.
See, I don't think there are a ton of these, like, they're not that far away.
I agree.
Their offensive line, I think, is good. Wide receivers are good. Their defense is good. I think you are that young quarterback away from, I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but at least be like relevant again.
Hey, let's stop here. We got to pay some bills. 30 seconds, and we'll be back.
Getting your house ready to sell, or you just need some basic repairs, and you can't get anybody to come out or even return your phone call. Then call Riley Painting and Contracting, your home mechanics, for all of your home repair needs, from electrical, plumbing, roof repairs, and getting your house ready to sell. 45 years in the business, a AAA on the Better Business Bureau, and we're on the preferred contractor list in Cleveland Heights and Shaker Heights. You can contact us by calling 216-371-8160 and leave a message. And guess what? We'll call you back.
Here's the thing about what John was saying about Flacco. If the Browns had a true top 5 defense, look at the Eagles. Look what the Eagles did. They had a great offensive line. They picked up Saquon. Their defense was top 3 easily. And, the kind of heat they're bringing up the middle, I knew Mahomes was toast in that Super Bowl. I bet big on the Eagles. And sure enough, that pressure, just bringing 4 with somebody spying on Mahomes, what he does is a little running around. They shut down Travis Kelce. Mahomes had no time in the pocket. The pocket's collapsing. Just watch that game again. I think the Browns' attitude is, let's get that top 5, top 3 defense, load up. Then our quarterback does not have to come from behind. And if you get a Flacco, with, and you get a quarterback maybe in that second round or whatever, but you get a real solid off left tackle, and you get back to running the ball.
Well, I'm going to be rooting against Tennessee because I'm hoping they have a short leash on the coach there. If he's let go, so will his dad. Yeah. And we could use him. Bring him back. Although
I'm hearing some good news, some good things about the new O-line guy they have. He's a kind of a Bill Callahan protege, and that's one of the underreported stories of last year. How did they pick this O-line coach?
Oh, O-line coach, OC.
The guy who got fired from Buffalo?
Disaster.
Well, they were fixated on bringing
Watson happy.
Right. They want to make Watson happy.
Yeah.
That's been a black hole.
Yeah.
It's just not the place to go.
When that story is finally written about Deshaun Watson, from recruiting him, kissing his ass, giving him guaranteed money, but then the ongoing locker room, just the impact on Stefanski, coach of the year twice. And then you watch that Browns offense. We got so used to Stefanski offense, pounding the rock, just dominating. And final thought about quarterbacking and Shador. I really think the Browns are looking for another, if they can get a year or two of Sam Darnold-like.
That's the thing, though. There's no one out there. There's Joe Flacco. Flacco would eliminate the stench of Deshaun Watson.
Well, we know that
signing him. You would there would be a surge in sales.
I would sign Flacco with the understanding of you pay him a little bit more to be that mentor to a young quarterback.
Well, you weren't born yet, but John, you remember they brought in Gary Danielson to mentor Bernie Kosar. And Danielson was the perfect guy for Kosar. They became best friends. There wasn't any of this, whining and pity party and soft ego.
So just
in the quarterback room. Go ahead.
It is a quarterback. to Brooks' point, who's making this pick? We know that the Haslams have swung and missed twice with Manziel and presumably Watson.
I think this is Andrew Berry, 100%.
Oh yeah, Haslam's not gonna. And if he's sticking his nose in there, Barry and Stefanski should quit. And Ray Farmer, if you listen to this, you and Mike Pettin, biggest mistake you did was not holding your ground and taking Derek Carr or Bridgewater instead of Manziel. You knew Manziel sucked, and you let Haslam push you around. You should have quit. No. And Stefanski, same thing. And again, gets back to John, one of our podcasts we did a couple of weeks ago, I got it back and forth with Brooke here, was about, I think this was...
yeah. I'd be curious to know what John thinks.
Okay, so John, you can weigh in. I know you're looking at your watch. You got to get going. You got to get to tennis.
John, who do you think picked Watson? Do you think it was Haslam or do you think it was Andrew Berry?
Haslam.
Haslam? Speak louder than that, Mark.
That's what I thought too.
See, my theory is it was after the debacle of
Haslam.
There's no way.
All over.
No, that's called a CLM, a career limiting move. There's no way Andrew Berry was going there. It was fraught with too much risk.
A smart young GM who worked under Howie Roseman in Philly is like, hey, here's an idea.
Whoa. Okay, I'm going to go. We're going to go. Hey, we're going right. We're going to go. Hey, loyal podcast listeners, we're going to go once around the track and we're going to end it. I have said over and over again, after Haslam got vilified over picking Manziel and bossing around Ray Farmer and the shit show of Farmer texting Mike Pettin on the sidelines, play Manziel. Brian Hoyer had him at 7-3. They just beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati Thursday night. Browns look great. Brian Hoyer, a Cleveland guy. And by the end of the season, it was a total shit show with Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel's partying. And here's Pettin and Ray Farmer. It's like they should be in the Trump cabinet. They just, they're not saying anything as Haslam sticking his nose in. And then, of course, after Pettin goes, Sashi Brown has to work with Hugh Jackson, one of the worst coaches around, because D. Haslam loved Hugh Jackson's sunny personality. And after that shit show, they finally, I believe they said, we're going to hire the smart guy, Andrew Berry, like you said, he's got the Philly connection, Stefanski, bright young coach, and we're going to let him coach the team. Now, Andrew Berry did that move with the Denver quarterback, Brock Osweiler, for number 2. You see, he's thinking outside the box. That's what he was thinking about Deshaun Watson. They brought this deal to Haslam's, and they said, we think we can get Deshaun Watson. We just got to guarantee the money. That'll bring him in. And Haslam says, okay, if this is what you think, I'll sign off on it. This was not a Haslam call. Now, if Haslam did call, then Berry and Stefanski should have quit.
That's why I think they still have their jobs.
Yes. They would have been long gone.
They would have been long gone.
All right. Well, we'll wait for that book to come out. John, who's going to write that book? Do you know any of your insiders? Isn't Dorsey still a member at Skating Club?
He is. Speaking of, so the question is, we got his track record is pretty strong. Look what he's done with the Lions.
Yeah.
God, when they fight.
Oh, the Lions. Oh my God. That was
I like John Dorsey.
John Dorsey. Yeah. He
nailed that, man. Denzel, Nick Chubb, Wyatt Teller, Baker.
Yeah, but he stood with Freddie.
He should have gotten a second. He should have said, hey, Jimmy, I screwed this up. I looked at Baker, his rookie year with this OC. I thought it was...
you know what? And nobody would have thought less of John Dorsey. But he said, if Freddie goes, I go. What are you going to do when you say that?
I didn't know that.
Well, that was it. You know what? We're going to get John Dorsey on this podcast with John. And you know what? He's going to be Mr. X. We're going to have his voice changed. Oh, I didn't. I was in that race.
CIA /
We gotta get somebody. We'll do a voice changing kind of thing. We'll have a black. When Mari would do our YouTube thing, we'll have it behind a black curtain. Yeah, I was there. It was not Jimmy Haslam. It was
deep throat.
brown throat. All right. We're gonna end on that note. John, you had fun?
Awesome.
Okay. All right. Go play some tennis.
Something like that.
All right. Okay. All right, folks. We're going to do one more pod before the draft. And then, of course, we're going to do a very special podcast, Brooke, real time on Zoom with Jason, our trainer. We might drag John in on the Zoom as it's happening. So this podcast will be live.
Just make a wager
on draft day. Let's get our pool together.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Amari, wrap it up.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Browns Anonymous podcast with Mike Riley. We have a lot more content on the way as we get this new podcast started. You can also check out some of our other podcasts like the Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast and other new ones that will start soon. On any platform that you find yourself listening to us on, feel free to leave us a like or comment or follow us. It always helps.